Oh shoot. What's the rest of the week look like for you?
I'm trying to figure out which tournament to go to this weekend. One, if I if I'll have the gas to go, because there's all this the shortages, right?
Yeah, we're about like there's no gas.
Is there gas in Nashville right now?
Yeah, luckily the prices have not today. I mean, I just got gas about I don't know, and 2 hours ago, and it's been normal prices. But I was talking to Russ today, and
It's
he said
coming.
he said he's got a buddy in North Carolina, and I guess the dude said like 6% of the gas stations in North Carolina are shut down, like just have no gas.
You say 60 or 6?
Six. Gosh, I hope not 60, but
Yeah, that's a lot.
6%. That's still
Dude. I mean, I just went and tried to fill up, and gas station's packed, and you have to do
Was it really?
and you can only do a $20 prepay, and you cannot fill up a gas container right now. And it's moving. I'm telling you, it's going to move into there. Apparently, I'm pretty sure.
So I mean, I'm planning on waking up tomorrow and gas being $4 a gallon.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be at least above 3. But it's kind of crazy. I'm pretty sure that there was a pipeline that busted, and that is what
I thought somebody hacked the pipeline.
I don't know. Something happened with a pipeline. That's why this is all happening. But
This stuff. I mean, gas is gas, dude. What are you gonna do? Not pay for it?
I mean, hello. I mean, Uber's got to go up. So hey,
either that, or run to your local Tesla dealership and
Hey, listen, it's time to put stock in Tesla.
Is it not, already? I thought it's been time.
No, it's actually. I mean, it's been decreasing. So catch it at the bottom because it's about to rise.
Buy on the dip. Buy on the dip. Isn't that what they say?
That is what they say. This is episode 36, isn't it?
Episode 36. Jerome Bettis.
Holy.
Marcus Smart.
Jerome Bettis. Well, welcome in to the Mind of a Coach podcast. These are your hosts, Coach Asa Duvall and Coach Nathan Moran. Episode Jerome Bettis 36. Jerome Bettis, is that the best one we could think of?
Well, Marcus Smart, isn't he 36? I said Marcus Smart after that.
Yeah, I didn't hear you say Marcus Smart.
Yeah.
Okay, at least keeping it on. I mean, I don't know another basketball player that's 36. What was Charles Barkley?
Not 30.
34?
Yeah, 34.
Yeah. Well, anyway, sorry for our basketball knowledge. Asa did a great job. I did not. Asa, how are you doing today, man?
I'm good, dude. I'm good, man. I'm alive and kicking as always. Weather's been weird here in Nashville. Been kind of cold for May. I don't really know what's going on. The South, it has a mind of its own. Grit and grind every day. Another day, another dollar. I don't know, man. Nothing's new with me. What about you?
Grit and grind. You want to join the 2012 Grizzlies over there, bud?
That would have been a great team to be a part of. What an awesome team that was, by the way. They were so.
Was it 2012? It was around that time.
We were watching some of the playoffs, and you had Tony Allen just, going.
First team all defense.
Tony Allen was so awesome, dude. Talk about guys that you'd love to play with.
Oh, yes. Yes. And him, I would love to play with Zach Randolph, too. So,
yeah.
All of the guys. Mike Conley sounds like a pretty good guy.
That was such a
great teammate.
Yeah, such a fun team.
But anyway, good, man. Good.
Hey, so I mean, I don't know if we want to do this right now, if we want to, wait an episode or two, but I mean, can we talk about maybe some things that have been going on this week within the Mind of a Coach family?
Who is that?
Well, I mean, listen, Nate. This has been a lot of crazy stuff happening. All over the world in this past year. But on the show, we have a co-host who got some pretty big news this week. He's put a lot of time in. He's put a lot of effort in, and it is shown in many, 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 many facets. Nathan, for the people out there, if you don't mind, I would love to be the first to introduce Mr. Head Assistant Basketball Coach of the Lee University men's basketball team, Assistant Coach Nathan Moran.
Well,
Nate. Talk to us, man. That's wow. Huge.
Wow. I mean, too kind, Asa. I appreciate it. Wow. There's nobody else that I would rather introduce me on the Mind of a Coach podcast as my first head assistant job. So I appreciate it, Ace.
How are you feeling? What's going through your mind? Are you overwhelmed? Are you excited? Are you a little bit of both? I mean, this is big, man. Like this is not
Yeah.
something to just, scoff over. We don't want to, but seriously, man, like that's huge. That's amazing. I don't like the word deserve. I like the word earned better. And I think
Mhm.
you have certainly earned the role that you just got promoted to, excuse me. And I think you have 100% earned it. You do deserve it, but I think more importantly, you've done what it takes to earn it.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I want to say that to you.
yeah. Well, I appreciate it. And to answer your question, overwhelmed? No. I initially maybe just because it was like, holy cow, they think very highly of me, and get a promotion like this and being at Lee for 1 year. I mean, I love it here. I love the coaches. I'm gonna miss Coach Cole Rose a lot.
Best of luck to
He
him at Palm Beach.
Palm Beach Atlantic. He was really, really good to me and allowed me to become the coach that I am now, and hopefully the coach that I'll become in the future. But at the end of the day, it's just helping kids, helping young men, truly, not even kids, but helping young men grow. And I could lose every single game, but if I can help these guys become better men, better husbands, better friends, and then hopefully in a certain way, in a Christ-like manner as well.
Yeah.
I mean, that's truly what I want. But just for a platform to do that, man, I'm blessed.
And I mean, man, the crazy, the thing is, if that's not where your intentions are, it's kind of hard. I think it's hard to sustain a long career in this business if you're, if that's not why you're in it. And you certainly exude the fact that that's why you're in it. Everything you do exudes that fact, I believe. So, dude, I couldn't be more happy for you. Couldn't be more excited for you. I think Lee made an incredible decision.
Well, I don't know about that, but but I'm gonna run with it. That's for sure.
Yeah,
I mean,
man.
heck, hey, as long as I can get some good players in here to make me and Coach Smith look even better, make
Yeah.
Coach Smith look even better,
Yeah.
make me just look good at
Yeah.
any facet. So,
No doubt.
yeah, man. I mean, yeah, it's definitely. I'm very honored. I mean, some people say lucky.
Yeah.
I say blessed. So
Yeah. Don't even ask me what I have to get off my chest today, because that's it.
wow.
All I want to get off my chest is how excited and proud I am of you.
Well, you're gonna make me cry, Asa. So I'm not gonna try to cry in front of everybody here, but I really appreciate it. It means a lot coming from you. You're my best friend. So love you.
Love you too, man. Of course, always. Well, Nate, we got a very special guest on with us today, so let's go ahead and hop into it.
Alrighty.
Everything good your way?
Yeah, man. We're in finals week right now, so just trying to take a deep breath before we have some people on campus next month, and then we back at it out in
I was
July.
about to say June 1st.
Yeah, June 1st they on campus, and July 6th we out of here. So
there we go.
My goodness.
There we go. Well, Coach, if you don't mind, we're going to go ahead and get into it real quick. We have Iowa women's assistant coach Raina Harmon on the show with us. She played at Central Michigan from 2001 to 2004, had a stellar career there. She received her master's degree in sports administration from Wayne State in 2009. She then was an assistant at Martin Luther King Junior High School for a year, I believe, and then you were the director of women's basketball operations at Michigan from 2010 to 2012. You then became the assistant at Central Michigan from 2012 to 2017 before getting hired as the women's assistant at the University of Iowa. Coach, thank you for coming on. Thank you for spending your time with us. Give us a lowdown. What's going on at the University of at Iowa University right now?
You know what? We had a great year, phenomenal year with some young gunners this year. You know what's crazy? We weren't ranked at all this season, not the entirety of the season, and we made it to the Sweet 16 to fall to UConn. One of the best freshmen in the country, one of the best coaches in the country. It's been a fun ride since I've been here. We've had a lot of ups since I've been here. So
yeah,
it's been a fun ride.
Talk to us about some of the young guns that you got. I know Caitlin Clark, was she the national co-freshman of the year, or
she was, the WBCA co-freshman of the year.
It's her and Paige, right?
Her and Paige Beckers, yep.
Got you.
And what's crazy is we bring back over 90% of our scoring next year. So,
you are excited.
Oh yeah, I'm like, let's go to practice today.
Today.
Let's get after it. It was fun. Best scoring offense in the country.
Yeah.
If we could have did half of that on defense, we probably could have gone a little bit further in the tournament. But it was just really cool to see these young guys like just get out here and get after it. Part of it, like they didn't know any better, right? It's like we know the culture that's been left behind from the people that's been here. Not too long ago, we had National Player of the Year in Megan Gustafson. The year following that, which would have been last year, Big Ten Player of the Year in Kathleen Doyle. And so the culture that's just been passed down, it's like they don't know anything different. We come, we win. We don't care where we're ranked. We're going to get it done. So
exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, all right, I want to talk about the Sweet 16 run this year. Obviously, y'all not being ranked either, but I also want to talk about Caitlin real quick.
Yep.
She broke a crazy amount of records for the Iowa women's basketball program. She 26.6 points per game.
Yep.
She had 12 30-point games, led the nation in countless categories. Talk to us about her, kind of maybe what makes her special, maybe her approach to the game mentally, her work ethic off the court in the offseason. Just kind of go and talk to us about what makes her special.
Yeah, so Caitlin is a competitor. I mean, she loves to compete like at anything, right? I mean, we could be racing to see who can get to the gum wrapper first. Like, I mean, she's gonna do what she needs to do to get to the gum wrapper. Like, and it's you know, when you're competing like that and you're playing, you know, and you're the point guard, then you're kind of holding other people on your team to that same level, which I think she done a tremendous job as a freshman in doing. We're kind of just making our whole team make that mental shift. Like, no, we gonna get here, we gonna get after it. So practice was competitive right off the rip. Right off the whip. And it was wide open again. Our team was young. And so it was just good to see that. And it kind of remained throughout the rest of the year. But Caitlin's a dog, man. I mean, like the kid, she's very offensive minded, but she puts that work in, right? And so you see some of those games. I mean, she's shooting 6-7 feet behind the 3-point line. I mean, we see that in practice. So when you look at our bench, you're like, are they not happy? Like, no, it's not that we're not happy. Like, this is a normal occurrence for us. I mean, we see it a few times a day in practice. So, I mean, she really puts the work in. Great teammate. You know, she just got out there and got it done this year. And she has a confidence that's just out of this world. Yeah. Like, you can't tell her something that she can't do.
Where do you think that stems from?
I mean, I know she has an older brother, you know, and her dad, and they used to kind of beat her up in the driveway a little bit.
It's the youngest, Asa. That's what that is right there. Yeah, relate.
You know, and then I think, you know, and I haven't had this conversation with her, but at some point she realized that maybe she was the best one on the floor, and she took that challenge on to remain one of the best ones on the floor. And so she worked and willed herself to the level that she is now. But again, I mean, that confidence is just something. But it's hard to tell a kid not to shoot the shots that you shoot when you've seen yourself make 1,000 of them.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, sure, I'm gonna miss one, but I know that I've made 1,000 of them in the past, so I'm gonna take it again. So she just cut like that. She's different. You know, the kid's always tweeting, "You different." No, she's different.
It's funny. I tell people all the time, like every person that got to kind of that level, you know, or made it there, like there's always something that stuck out to me. That's like, oh, it makes sense why they're there. I mean, we played with Garrison Matthews in college, kind of the same thing. He did things in the game that we're like, well, you know, yeah, it was crazy, but we saw it in practice a lot. We knew it was a thing. And for Garrison, like his thing was he was just unconscious. Like he has no conscience at all. He'll let it fly. It doesn't matter. And I think it's interesting how there's always something with those people where they're just it makes them what they are.
Yeah,
it's not always the same thing. It's not always
caring really what people say, you know. I mean, and sure, like, you know, she's coming up through the social media era, but I mean, I think there's more praise than doubters, you know. But I think really just not caring what people say. She's like, I'm gonna let my game speak for herself, and she went in, night out, and did what she needed to do.
Yeah. Well, going off her, what is your thought process on women's college basketball players having to stay a little bit longer in college than men's? I know you are happy about this rule.
Yeah, make them stay. Now, you know what? And I know that's been a topic of conversation recently, right? Especially since, I mean, this year's the women's tournament just had so many eyes, and you could attribute that to a number of things, right? But
absolutely.
I think, you know, you look at it. So Power 5 program, the way we dine, the way we travel, the hotels that we stay in, the places that we're able to go. And then when you go to that next level, it doesn't necessarily go up from there, you know, once you get to the WNBA, you know, and I know they've been fighting for some issues that's going on there, but, and the money, right? The money's just not there. So I'm not sure that it would make the most sense for these young athletes to leave. Now, when we start getting into name, image, likeness and stuff like that, then I think that presents a new set of things that could occur, in terms of the monetary gains for them leaving if they do leave early. But right now, I don't think that what they're going to gain, is what they want at this moment anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you talked a little bit about the advantages of being at a high major. You've been at both. You've been at a mid major and a high major. What is the biggest difference that you have noticed?
Money. No,
Simple,
I mean, just
simple
resources, really, like just plain out resources. And so like at Central Michigan, like, just even with our coaching staff, for a while we did, but we didn't have a secretary. So a lot of that, the paperwork, the back end of like recruiting and logging those notes, the way that we had to travel, bus league, even the amount of meals, we eat every day with our kids here at Iowa, whereas at Central Michigan, we weren't afforded that opportunity every single day. So just the resources are wildly different from, that level to this one. Now, I would say when I was at Central Michigan, our head coach there, Sue Guevara, she did a great job of being connected to the community. She was also at one point the winningest coach at the University of Michigan. So she understood how a Power 5 program ran. So we did have access to take some charter flights or to have some of those really, really nice meals or to go down to like St. Thomas for Thanksgiving, which was cool for those athletes to be able to have that experience. But for the players at this level to be able to do that and not even give it a second thought,
no doubt.
Yeah, it's just what's expected.
I'm like, don't take it for granted. It ain't like this everywhere.
Right. And when it's over, it's over.
It's over. You graduate, and you're going to be like, oh, what's for dinner? Oh, that ramen.
You would love ramen. You would love another meal in the caf for free.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, my gosh. I promise. I go in there sometimes with the players, and I'm like, y'all don't realize how good y'all have it. I just want to eat in here every single meal now.
It's wild. And again, like, I mean, our players get the experience of eating in the caf, but also eating with the staff and their team. Like that's pretty cool. In the pandemic, it was different, right? But I mean, every single day they walk off the court, they take a shower, we head over, and we're eating steak, shrimp, pasta, like not even thinking about it. And then you get so used to that for 4 years. It would be easy to take it for granted, obviously. But we do a good job of just keeping our kids a little bit humble in that regard. And so, they're appreciative, as am I, of what we are able to do here.
How do you keep them humble? Because I need to know.
Tell them. It ain't like this everywhere, Like, I mean, we'll be like, Snapchat your friends. Like, because sometimes their friends will be like, hold up, y'all got what?
Yeah,
you get what? Or even tell them our experiences, and I'm starting to sound old now, but I mean, I played a while back. But even to give them my experience playing at a mid-major and just be like, it wasn't like that. It wasn't like that, or even ask some of the kids or some of the players that's recently graduated what life is like and what they missed about their experience. And they'll tell you, it was the Bahamas, it was the meals, it was the travel, it was the gear, it was the, the things that are easy to overlook.
No, it's so many things that don't involve actually on-court play that like you kind of take for granted, while you're a player.
Yeah.
All right, so you mentioned, talk to us about this year, kind of what made this group special. Y'all made a Sweet 16 run. You weren't ranked the whole year, kind of that mentality of overcoming those obstacles, not being looked at, and then making the run that y'all did. What made that team special?
Culture, really. And I think culture wins, but it's been something that's been instilled in this program. And honestly, a reason why a lot of our student athletes come here to this program is because of the culture that's been built here at the University of Iowa through our head coach, Coach Gluter. And so she's really intentional about setting what our program is going to look like, how we're going to take care of each other, how we're going to talk to each other, how we're going to respond in times of adversity, on the court, how we're going to respond as a team when maybe we're losing on the road. Are we yelling at each other? Or how do we pick each other up? We have a team psychologist that we talk to. Okay. A few times a month. Yeah. And just to kind of help us walk through those scenarios, so it may be like 2 days after a game, maybe it's a loss and it's like, okay, how did we handle these situations? And I think really being transparent, getting our players to be transparent about how they're feeling about each other, how they're feeling with themselves. It's done wonders. I mean, since I've been here, and I think it really helped this team, especially this young team that we had this year, be able to talk through some of the issues that they had, put it on the table, and then be able to self-correct that as the season went on. And they just work hard. I mean, they worked. We don't really have to coach effort too much. And that's one thing as a coach that you don't desire to do, right? It's coach effort. You want to teach skill. You want to teach your offense, your defense. We don't have to coach effort. I mean, they competed, and it was good to see, and they all kind of rose to the challenge.
Have you been a part of teams in the past? Asa, sorry, I interrupted. Have you been a part of teams in the past where you did have to coach effort while you were at Iowa or anywhere else? And how did you possibly try to maneuver through that?
Yeah. Yeah, not here. No, not here. It's always, the culture has been what it is since I've gotten here. And Lisa Bluter, she's been here I think she just finished her 21st season, right? So, I mean, the culture is what it is here.
Sure.
I would say at Central Michigan a little bit because that team was really, really good. I mean, we were competing with like Kentucky, and we were competing when Skylar Diggins was playing with like Notre Dame. I mean, we took both those teams down to the wire. And so then to play those teams and then to try to get ready for, maybe a lesser MAC team, so you go through the highs of going on the scouting report and you're like, oh yeah, I know her, right? Because they're on ESPN or wherever they are. Mm-hmm. And then getting ready to play some of those teams at the bottom of the MAC is like, well, we're going to beat them. It's like, no, guys, like that's not how this works. We still have to prepare, like we're going to be a championship team. And I think that was just the messaging, right? It doesn't matter who we're going to play. Mm-hmm. Like we want to set the standard for who we are. I mean, if we end up blowing this team out, so be it, right? But our standard is going to be what our standard is, and we're going to hold everybody to it. You can't shortchange the standard.
I love that. Our standard is going to be what our standard is.
That's right. Can't keep the grind.
That's good.
It'll come back to you.
For sure.
How was the NCAA women's NCAA tournament was in a bubble as well? Kind of give us what a day was like, or the whole experience. What with testing, protocols, all that.
Yeah. It was wild. It was, and I feel like people on the outside probably seen a little bit more than we did because we were stuck in our hotel room for a few days while everything was happening on Twitter. But so we got down to San Antonio, and I don't know how many hotels there were, but there were like 8 teams in our hotel. And so we got the protocols before we got there. There was going to be testing every day. We had to wait maybe 30 minutes for everybody's test to come back. Mm-hmm. And so we first got there, checked in the hotel, went to go test. Went back to your room, and you were to stay quarantined in your room until you got a text saying what the next thing was going to be. So, they brought all of our food, like just sat it outside the door. We get a text, hey, food is there. And we're all in the same hall, but they were trying to limit the amount of, contact that you were going to have with other teams. So you couldn't go to the lobby. You couldn't go out to get fresh air unless it was on your schedule to take that 30-minute walk, the same path that was approved.
My goodness.
And so that, I think maybe the first 48 hours was like that, where we were just in our rooms. After day 3, it kind of loosened up a bit where we can be on our hall, but we still couldn't go outside or leave from upstairs whenever we wanted to. We had to make sure that we contacted the right person if we needed to go downstairs. And then as games started, things starting to loosen up a little bit more. Now we had meeting rooms. So you can kind of go down and be in your meeting room. So you were either in your room or in your meeting room. I mean, there were people in the lobby like, keep walking.
So they had people really making sure that.
Yeah, I seen one of my buddies from South Dakota. He was like going by. I'm like, yo, and they're like, call him. I'm like, wow.
Call him.
But I understood it, right? I mean, they were trying to protect the tournament, and they didn't want us to. One person is now out. You got 2 teams that got a contact trace. So sure. I understand. It was wild though to see so the weight room was presented to us on Twitter before we even saw it. I mean, the weights and the mat, right? I mean, it was right. Yeah. And so it was wild to see it on Twitter, and you're watching everybody's response to it. And then we go to practice and you see it and you're like, this is for real.
Yeah.
What are we supposed to do with this? And our strength and conditioning coach, I'm sure she's fuming on the inside, but at the end of the day, she got to get the job done. So she's trying to do a body weight workout with our players. And I mean, we got it done. And then 48 hours later, as we're walking out of practice, holy grail, here is a whole, weight room. It's like, it's funny how that can happen when a little pressure is on you like that. And, I know they talked about the food situations. I think part of it though, we didn't have a horrible food experience. like maybe what some teams experience. But again, we talked about the dynamics between like a mid-major and a Power 5 and your resources and what you can afford. Also the timing, right? So I know that they sometimes would show like the men and what they had for dinner, which would be like, steak and shrimp or whatever at a buffet. And then I think there was like a Salisbury steak photo in comparison, right? So, but the timing of that, right? I told you how most of our meals got delivered when we first got there, but as the tournament rolled on, like we were able to go downstairs and have a catered meal as well.
Okay.
So some of it, I'm not sure was apples to apples comparison, just based on time and resources of the school that you represented. But I don't know. It was an experience unlike any other.
Yeah.
Do you want to do it again? Would you do it again?
Oh.
If it meant playing in the NCAA tournament, get to the Sweet 16.
I mean,
yeah. I mean, yeah, I'd do it again. Now, one thing I would say is I think that everybody remained focused.
Okay.
Because there was no family time. There's no time to just go walking about, going to see San Antonio. And I mean, we were right downtown on the Riverwalk, like 2 blocks from the Alamo. But everybody was just kind of focused, right? Because our players were still in school. So they were doing their stuff online in their rooms, and then downstairs we watched a ton of games, men's and women's. Like our men's team was still fighting for it. So I think it kept us all together, which was the best takeaway, I think, of being there in that bubble, is that our team remained very close throughout it. And I mean, it showed in the way we played. I mean, we came out, and unfortunately we had to give the dagger to my Central Michigan Chippewas in that first round. And their senior class was all kids that I recruited. It was wild. But, yeah. So, and then, I mean, we go on and we wax Kentucky, and I think part of that is just our team sticking together and coming out like nobody's expecting us to win this game. Let's go put on a show. And we tried to do the same and slay the giant in UConn, but again, defensively, we just didn't have it in the tank that night. So
yeah. Well, okay. Growing up in Detroit, talk to us about your playing career and how you got to Central Michigan and what that experience was like.
Yeah, so I was introduced to basketball. I'm an only child, but I would stay all the time with my aunt, who had her son is. So my cousin, he's 4 years older than me, and for some reason they would always need one more to make the teams even, right? So this is like when I'm 9 or 10. So I would go out there and be shooting on a crate, or them not passing me the ball. They just need another body, right? And eventually I start liking it, end up getting in a league in Detroit, kind of fell in love with the game, kept playing with, bigger cousins. So that's kind of where I got my physicality from, and just kind of learning the movements of the game and how to use my body. I ended up going to Detroit Martin Luther King High School, which is kind of like the UConn of Detroit high school. I mean, powerhouse. If you guys went in there and saw the banners, the state championships, the city championships, I mean, it was
crazy.
Amazing. Yeah, amazing. There were 7 of us that graduated in my class. 5 of us went D1 and the other 2 went D2. So,
wow.
Yeah, it was wild. And so had an opportunity. I wasn't the best athlete on the team, right? But I was surrounded by, all these athletes. Central Michigan came to the game. That happened to be the game where I showed out.
It happens like that, doesn't it?
Man. Happened to be the game where I showed out. So I was recruited by them, North Carolina A&T, and then I had some interest in St. Bonaventure. At this time, again, only child, single parent. My mom was diagnosed with Graves' disease in high school, and so she was going through radiation. So I knew if I wanted to continue playing, I didn't want to go far, so Central Michigan was my option. So I took the scholarship at Central Michigan, went up there, and it was different, right? So Detroit 90s was like 95% black, right? And I go to Mount Pleasant, was like, whoa, what just happened? I went up the road, but it was just like, anybody look like me up here? But it was a great experience in figuring out who I was, to be honest. I got away from the comfortable elements back at home. Again, I wasn't a star on the team, but I bust my butt. I worked hard. I took pride in, being the other team's best player. I got buckets. Yeah. It never really came to fruition for me on the court. But, I was a good teammate. Loved all my teammates, have great relationships with most of them to this day. And so that was really my playing career. I had no aspirations to coach, though, once I graduated. And to be honest, I didn't see anybody that looked like me on staff to even think that, like, that was something that I could do.
Okay.
So, I think we had
That's my next question, by the way. Kind of talking about your coaching journey. At what point did you know you wanted to coach? Kind of how it transpired. That whole thing.
Yeah, so I got my degree in sports studies. So I knew I wanted to stay connected, like in the athletic field, but I wasn't exactly sure what. My minor was in marketing, and so I thought I could do something, right? I got a degree, I'll figure it out. But again, nobody that looked like me in the field, like in the coaching field. So I went back to Detroit. Fast forward a few years, I started working on my master's, and I was working for this company called Detroit Police Athletic League, which serves like 12,000 kids in the Metro Detroit area through different sports. I got a phone call from my former AAU coach, and he asked me if I wanted to come back and coach, and I was like, absolutely. And then I went to Detroit King and started coaching at my alma mater again, through high school. And it was there where I started receiving phone calls from college coaches that were recruiting some of my players. And so I was like, oh, okay, like this sounds interesting. And so the more that I did it, I started with the 7th grade team, and I took them the whole way through to graduation. And so I became intentional about asking the coaches that were calling, hey, what do I need to do, maybe to get a foot in the door, whether that's, Dobo or video coordinator or whatever. And I was already in grad school, so grad assistantship was out the question. And, they would give me sound advice, but I would try to be intentional about asking that question to everybody that called so that they knew where I desired to go. And the fruits of the labor paid off doing that, because I received a phone call from the University of Michigan saying that they were looking to hire a Dobo. Right. And University of Michigan comes calling, you don't be like, oh, no, thanks.
No kidding.
Yeah. And it's worked out. The one GA that was with me at Central Michigan, she was now an assistant coach at the University of Michigan. And she was like, hey, let's reach out to her. Like, she's been coaching in Detroit. She knows the who's who. If that's a place where we're really trying to sink our teeth into with recruiting, she'd be great to have on staff. And that's kind of how I got into collegiate athletics as a director of basketball operations. I was on staff there for 2 seasons. Kevin Borseth, he was headed back to Green Bay. Central Michigan had a coach's opening. I interviewed, and the rest was history.
Yeah. Well,
wow, that's phenomenal.
I know obviously director of basketball operations, ops people in general, they do a whole lot of stuff behind the scenes that does not get noticed. Mm-hmm. This season especially, I'm sure for ops people was a pain. It was crazy. It was the worst thing ever. I'm sure they never want to go through it again. What was talk to us about being an ops person at a college basketball program, and kind of just maybe something that people don't understand about that role.
Yeah, I felt like, especially there and with the autonomy that I was given, like I did everything besides coach.
Yeah.
Essentially, so all the travel, I was responsible for coordinating that. All the gear, I was responsible for coordinating that. Putting the budgets together, like he allowed me to work with his administration to actually put the budget together for different like recruiting services and things like that. I helped with on-campus recruiting, so the logistics of what time, itineraries and things like that, right? What time is the player going to arrive, who are they going to meet with, how we're going to get them around, how we're going to woo them, and then what time are we getting them back out of here? No doubt. Meals. Literally camp. We ran camp. I ran a whole kids camp by myself pretty much, which was neat just to have that experience. And they were hands-on with like elite camp and team camp and things like that. But like for a little kids camp, they're like, if you want it, you can have it. I was like, experience? Yeah, give it to me.
Yeah.
It was a lot of behind the scenes grind. Game days, working with marketing, working with refs, working with the other teams, making sure they're set up. It was a grind.
Nate, I got a couple other questions. Do you have anything? I got a couple other questions.
Keep rolling.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, Coach, you started this kind of this max movement this year. Obviously wearing all these talk to us just about that. What went into that decision and where you're at with it right now. What's going on with it? Tell us about it.
Appreciate the question. So I think we all can agree, like we started with this pandemic, right? Like the beginning of 2020, and then we had the murder of George Floyd. Mm-hmm. Right. And I feel like this country had kind of gone through an awakening of like, how is this a thing? How is this happening? Why are all these people in the street? Why are people angry? Why are people trying to get laws changed? And so following, with what Colin Kaepernick started, I knew a lot of our players were considering maybe taking a knee. I know that a lot of athletes in general had started to take a knee just to bring light to some of the injustices happening in the country. And so as it got close to our season, I was trying to figure out how could I use my voice and my platform to to highlight some of these injustices as well, and maybe just talk about the history of this country from my perspective, or maybe from people that look like me.
Mhm.
And so I debated, okay, should I take a knee? And if I do, what does that look like? And then it just didn't, for me, it didn't connect well, because it was like, okay, so what's going to happen is people are going to say, oh yeah, I agree with what she's doing. Or they're going to say, I don't agree with what she's doing. And that's going to be the end of the conversation.
That's about it.
And I probably won't have a chance to say, well, I did it, right? Because I'm not in the post-game press conference. My head coach is.
Sure.
So now I'm putting her in a situation where maybe she has to explain my actions. And so I said, well, okay, we're going to have 30 plus games. You know, we're going to have to wear a mask for all of them. I have the capability to make them. Why don't I highlight an injustice, maybe a system, maybe a person that's died unjustly at the hand of the police, or maybe an event like Black Wall Street burning in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Why don't I, make a mask for every game and then post what that mask represents on my social media platforms? And so I did it. We were probably like 2 or 3 games in, and then I think my head coach asked me, I don't know if it was Tamir Rice or Elijah McClain, and she's like, hey, tell me the story of that gentleman, like what happened. And as I explained the story, she was just like, wow, like, I'm going to give you some time at the end of shoot around. Can you explain that same story to the team so that they can understand the impact of what it is you're doing? And that, like I said, that was game either 2 or 3, and we played 30 games this season. And so she gave me that time with our team every game day during shoot around to be able to talk about that, plus me posting it on social media. It really drove a lot of conversations, good conversations, some healthy debate.
Which there's not enough of, by the way. There's not enough of that.
Yeah, healthy, right? We can disagree, but let's do it healthy. Like, let me try to understand your perspective and you try to understand mine. And at the end of the day, we all probably want the same thing, right?
Yeah. And quite frankly, if you talk long enough to somebody and don't blow them off after you disagree with the one point they make, you kind of find out that, hey, we actually may agree on some things that just doesn't seem like it on the surface.
Yes,
absolutely. Yep. And so, so it was really good. I think it was good for our team. They learned a lot this season. I think the people that follow me on social media, some of my friends kind of took the charge and ran with it. I know a friend that she's on another platform. She has a podcast, but she's going to try to take what I did and just highlight that through her podcast as well. So it's been interesting. For me, it's all about education and conversation, and I think I've achieved that this season.
Where's the women's game at right now? Where do you see it going? And like I said, what can something that somebody like Nathan and I can do to help aid in where it needs to go to better it and move it forward?
Yeah. So I think we're in a place. I think this pandemic has helped in a way, right? People were still, right? And everybody was looking at their devices. And so I think even though, like, let's say the inequities during the NCAA tournament, right? While we wish they didn't exist, what I saw were NBA players using their voices, right? Or people using their platforms that otherwise maybe would be too preoccupied doing something else to even care to stop and look at it. So by virtue of that, I think that we're in the right place with viewership. I think that our tournament was very highly viewed, and that hopefully, you see a kid like Ari McDonald from Arizona, right? I mean, he had a phenomenal tournament. Maybe that the carryover of her being drafted will help drive some eyes to the WNBA, so that there's more of a correlation between our game and the WNBA, because sometimes I think when those players leave those college towns, they lose a little bit of that fan base. But hopefully, we'll be able to hold on to some of that fan base. We'll see if this NIL goes through with name, image, likeness, and the branding. I think that's another way to maybe get another set of eyes that don't watch our game on it. So I think we're trending in the right direction. I mean, I see a lot of WNBA players being more vocal about things than I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And talking about it from our perspective, and the game just kind of being different, right? You think about Anadia Barnes, who is a coach, but she talks about being a mother, as she's leading her team to the championship game, which is cool because, like, when you think about sports, that's not anything that you're considering, right? You're not thinking that those things are happening, but for people to actually put her voice out there in that way, I think is amazing to just kind of show what our experience is like as we go through, being athletes ourselves. I think what you guys can do is exactly what you're doing, right? Is having people that are in the women's game on your platform, on your podcast, continue to elevate and amplify our voices. And I thank you guys for having me on to do this, because it's great.
Before we get into some rapid fire questions, Coach, talk to us about United Ballers. I guess you're the owner, CEO. Talk to us about that real quick.
Yeah, so Unified Ballers.
I'm sorry.
No worries.
I just pulled it up. I pulled it up real quick on your Twitter, and I apologize. Unified.
No, all good. So yeah, Unified Ballers came about. So I'm one of those coaches that like, I know what it was like in practice when practice could be like 3 hours, and you're just like, oh, like, okay, coach, we ran through this place 25 times. I'm over it. Let me go. Right. And I understand now as a coach, those steps are necessary, but let's make it a little different, right? Let's give them some energy. Let's engage with them in a different way. And so, I mean, I would just like be randomly yelling stuff on the sideline. Like a kid has like a flashy jelly layup. I'm running down the side like, da-da-da, da-da-da, right? So now everybody's high-fiving, or I'd be yelling, somebody hits a deep three, where my shooters at? And somebody be like, oh yeah, I'm a shooter. Or if they missing a lot, I'd be like, dang, like where my shooters at, you know? Or bet on yourself is something that I say all the time. So I have like all these catchphrases that I say as a coach. So one day I put where my shooters at on a shirt, on a t-shirt. And I posted it online, I wore it, and I got a ton of like inquiries like, what's that? Or where'd you get that from? And I was like, ooh, opportunity.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I'm going to print up a bunch of Where My Shooters At shirts. I'm going to start a company. And I don't have a business background. So in my mind, I was going to become a millionaire by selling a Where My Shooters At one color t-shirt. Right? So, you know, as I began selling just that one shirt, like start selling it in different colors, I thought about just putting all of the sayings that I had like on different shirts. And I knew that I wanted to expand eventually beyond basketball, right? Because when you think about ballers, I mean, that could be football, baseball, volleyball, like it doesn't matter. And so I was like, well, what name could we use to kind of bring everybody together? Unified Ballers. Cool. So company started 2018. So August 2018, released those shirts and Bet on Yourself t-shirts. Family and friends like went through them like crazy, sold out, restocked. Yeah. And so really I just try to provide uplifting messages through sporting apparel, really. And what's cool is, I don't know if you guys see this or even attached it to me. During the NCAA this year, I created a shirt that had the 5 black head coaches that had coached in the Final Four this year.
Yeah, I think I did see that actually. I was looking at the website earlier, all the merch you had up there. I think I did see that.
It went crazy. So I did one for myself. And it was like Carolyn Peck, Dawn Staley, Adia Barnes, right? Like Vivian Stringer, Pokey Chapman. And so, but because I'm in this business, I wanted to get consent. And so I kind of DM'd somebody on Twitter to see if maybe they could help me out. And the next day I was in a chat with the 5 women that had been to the Final Four. And they gave me consent to release the shirt. And I was like, this is wild. If I don't sell one shirt, I'm now connected to these women forever.
Yeah.
Right. And so, so I posted the shirt, and then when I went back to it, I had like 180,000 impressions on that tweet. And so I'm like, okay, I got to get this out. So I got their consent within 24 hours because now I'm getting ready for the championship game. I dropped the link and sold out 3 times already.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Sold out 3 times already. And so I think what's cool about it, I haven't said this publicly, like on Twitter where I made the post, but I will eventually, is that I don't desire to keep the money from this shirt. Like that's not why I'm in it, right? I wanted to highlight these women while this was happening, especially we had Dawn Staley and Adia Barnes in the championship game. But my goal is to scholarship a young black coach to be able to go to the WBCA conference and the Final Four next season, to try to pay it forward so she could be linked, and maybe she'll be the next one on that t-shirt. So
that's awesome.
That's amazing.
Wow. That's awesome.
Kind of a hobby too, something to keep my mind occupied, like out of season.
Yeah, for sure.
If you never put yourself out there and you don't take a chance, you never know what can happen and who you can connect with, who you can meet, the impact you can make. I mean, it's just
bet on yourself. My boy Markel said it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right. Well, Coach, if you don't mind, real quick, we're gonna have a little fun, do some rapid fire questions with you, if that's all right.
Let's go.
Cool. All right. Last technical.
I've never had a technical.
Never.
You see the smile? They ain't trying to take me out. I've had many warnings.
Even as a player, no technical?
No tech.
Awesome. Okay. I had one technical. I had one technical as a player. That's it.
I've had a couple.
All right. You're up 3 at the end of a game. Do you foul or let it play out?
How much time?
We'll say 7.5 seconds.
You know, I know this is rapid fire, but this is a debate that we have on.
Hey, listen, the thing is, they're rapid fire, but it's kind of, they're not so rapid fire. That's what makes it fun. That's what makes it fun.
All right. So we started having this debate once we were able to advance the ball in the last minute of the game. But me, I think personally, as a personal philosophy, I'm gonna let it play out. I like scramble situations. I'm gonna let it play out.
Okay.
Box out, rebound.
Oh man, yeah.
Trust the defense. Trust the rebounder. League your best player in with 2 fouls in the first half.
Gotta sit down.
For the rest of the half, no matter what?
For the rest of the half. I mean, unless we starting to like really tank it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you gotta sit.
Okay.
Next man up, right? That's what we preach.
True. Exactly. Go for the tie, go for the win.
It's a momentum question, but I'm gonna go for the tie.
Okay.
Because we're gonna outscore them in overtime. We scored 86 points a game this year.
There we go. That's it. Casual or professional on the sidelines?
Oh, casual me all day.
There we go. Early morning practice or evening or night practice?
Morning. First thing on your mind. You're fresh. You don't have to worry about players thinking about the test they may have failed or not failed or everything else. Give me morning.
Got you. If you could not coach basketball or be in the world of sports, what would you do?
T-shirt business.
So I think I can do like two complete ends of the spectrum. I think I'd be like activist / politician. Mm-hmm. And we kind of talked about that.
Yep.
Or DJ.
Oh, there we go.
DJ.
What's your okay? Give me your first 2 songs that you're going to.
Oh, Party Up, DMX.
I
don't know if it's the same party, but Bell Biv DeVoe, Poison.
Okay. Yeah, I love the DJ answer. I love it. You play any golf?
I dabble in golf. You know what's crazy? I've hit a hole-in-one before.
No way.
Yep.
Are you serious? A real legit hole-in-one?
I dabble in golf. And
I dabble.
That's the first thing you tell us.
I dabble in golf.
Was it what yardage was it?
It was like par 3. It was like I don't know, 102 maybe.
Yeah.
It was straight. I was tired. It was like I'm ready to go. Ninth hole, like I'm out of here. Like easiest swing, straight. It like dropped maybe, I don't know, 16 yards in front of the pin. I got the baseball team over here, so I got witnesses, guys.
Oh.
Ball rolls, and we're like, wait a minute, this might. They're like, you got to buy drinks. I got my car and I left.
That's true.
So yeah, I just dabble. I mean, I've been to golf school, but I don't do it as much as I would like.
Hey, you got a hole-in-one. That's more than 99.99% of people can say.
Wow.
If I never played again in my life, I got that story going for me.
That's amazing. Should every team make the conference tourney?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
It provides We always, I feel like in the Big Ten, we always have that one team that's just like, dang, they're knocking them out, right? So it provides an intriguing tournament, but it's not so great when some teams' names aren't called for the NCAA tournament. But yeah, I'm gonna say yeah. Got you.
All right. I just thought of one that I haven't asked anybody yet, but 4 quarters or 2 halves?
4 quarters. 4 quarter me. Oh yeah. I love our game. I love being able to advance the ball. Like
I do love that.
I like being able to reset every quarter, like just kind of bring your team in. Like,
so will they not put the advance the ball rule in with the 20-minute halves, or
they have to vote for it.
Okay.
And I think is men's college basketball like the only basketball like in the world that's still playing 2 halves?
I think so. As far as I'm aware.
Some AAU tournaments still.
Well, yeah. Which are getting them to college.
Yeah.
True.
It's wild, but yeah, I mean, I really do like the 4 quarters. I didn't know how we'd adjust to it, but I like being able to just kind of like stop and reset. And
is game planning is anything different with 4? Is the approach? I guess is what I'm at. Is there any type? Do you have to take a different approach with 4 quarters as opposed to 2 halves?
Not. I mean, outside of the last minute deal, not really. I mean, maybe your substitution patterns. We kind of know like at the beginning of every quarter, you know, who we want in and where the rest is going to come. So I think just to be able to break it down in your brain for a little bit.
Yep.
And to have just that stoppage of play, it's been really beneficial for the women's game.
Got you. Okay then. All right, last one. LeBron or Jordan?
Jordan.
Jordan, why?
Because she's from Michigan. She's not from Ohio. She can't
Yeah,
say.
that I am not. This is the crazy thing, though. Like LeBron has been my favorite player for a while now.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think that the greatest separation from him was his mentality and his approach to the game. Right? He wasn't there to make friends. Like, I love LeBron because of his physicality and his dominance. In the waning minutes, he defers too much for my liking.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Jordan is like, nah, give me the ball.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We either gonna sink or swim, but y'all gonna be on my back. So
fair enough. Coach Harmon, we thank you very much for coming on this evening today on the show. We appreciate it. Tell where can everybody find you on social media, Twitter, Instagram, wherever.
Yeah, so on Twitter, I am Raina15. I believe I am Raina15 on Instagram as well. You guys make sure you go to www.unified-ballers.com. Copy the merch. Better on your side.
Absolutely. We'll make sure everybody does that. You can find myself on Instagram at the Ace of Spades with a Z on the end. You can find Nathan on Instagram and Twitter at Nate5.
Actually, you can find me on Instagram at Nate5_Moran. You can find me on Twitter at Coach and Nate Moran.
Hey, by the way, so Coach Harmon, he just got him a promotion.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Hang on, Nate. All right, so Nate.
Let me pop this Sonic for you. Congratulations.
That's great.
You're on Instagram at Nate5_Moran, and you're on Twitter at what?
Coach Nate Moran.
Coach Nate Moran. Okay. Yeah. Nathan has a new Twitter. It's at Coach Nate Moran. You can find Mind of a Coach on Twitter at Mind of a Coach Pod, and you can find Mind of a Coach on Instagram at Mind of a Coach. Coach Harmon, we appreciate you again. Best of luck to Iowa women's basketball next season. Best of luck to you and everything else that you do. We appreciate you and your time, and we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. I appreciate you guys having me on.
The planet sun, into your stereo soul.